It's great to be here with the Honourable Mohamed Nashiz, who chairs the Commonwealth Association of Public Accounts Committees, and he also chairs the Public Accounts Committee of the Maldives. So, Nashiz, it's great to be with you. Can you tell us what a Public Accounts Committee is and what it does?
Public Accounts Committee, the main function is to make government accountable for the spending of public money and its efficiency and effectiveness towards achieving policies and the value for money, how it's been spent and how the taxpayers' money is spent to achieve those policies.
Okay, and in our country, in the UK, it's always chaired by a member of the opposition. So I've had the privilege of chairing one now for a number of years. How does it work in the Maldives?
Well, in Maldives we have a presidential system, not parliamentary system. So our president will send ministers' names for confirmation to the parliament, and the parliament will confirm the names, and then the ministers are appointed. So, well, in our parliament we have a majority of government members, and I represent the government. We still have the power in the committee to summon the ministers and ask any government official any questions that the committee feels fit, and also we can summon any documents or any relevant information that we require to a particular case that we are sitting on.
So Nashiz, you're a government MP chairing your committee, and the witnesses you have in front of you are very often ministers from your own party. Do you find that hard to hold them to account?
I think having a minister from our own party in a way is helpful for us, because we understand the person and we know a little bit of background on how and why he became a minister and how he was appointed. So it is it gives us more comfort to have him there and to ask relevant questions and even help out our opposition colleagues to get the answers that the questions that are being asked by to the minister. So in a way, if the minister tries to avoid the questions or go around what's being asked, and we will have more ease, I mean, how to say,
traction.
Yeah, we would be in a better position to ask the minister to answer straight to the questions, or even we could always refer the matter to the head of the government, or get the relevant answers in writing to the committee that he tries to avoid. So
okay.
Yeah,
because we only question in the UK civil servants. Some are very experienced, they're not answering questions, and if they don't answer, we don't really have much recourse. I mean, we have to keep pushing them basically, but we could theoretically complain to the head of the civil service, but it's not likely to happen. One of the challenges for us, of course, is that we're challenging the officials, and they have to sort of stop at the point when it might be a ministerial decision, and they have to defend that minister's position. Do you find it different when you're questioning ministers compared with the civil servants responsible?
I think to have a politician who is in charge of the policies and to run the department, we have we know exactly what policies that we are asking questions about, and what policies that had gone wrong, and whatever policies that he tries to avoid or tries not to answer, we still know that those policies are actually implemented by the minister, and minister is the one who has instructed the civil servants to implement those policies. So in a way, having the minister in there is more advantage for us to make the government accountable for a particular policy and what went wrong and why it went wrong, and to have him responsible for what has happened.
Okay, because we have ministers in front of the Public Accounts Committee in the UK, so we are dealing with really the numbers and the money, which means we expect civil servants to be on top of the budget and be able to answer any question really about the money. Do you find there's a difference when you're questioning ministers? Are they as on top of the numbers as you would, I'm sure, expect from officials?
Normally, when we get the ministers to the Public Accounts Committee, he or she will not be coming alone. They will have their permanent secretaries and financial head of the department along with the minister, so we could always direct the questions. I mean, whatever answers we get from the minister, we can always direct the question towards a permanent secretary or even the financial head. So it is, I could say it is a bit of an advantage for us to have all three of them in the same room at the same time, so that we could ask same question and sometimes we get different answers, because unlike UK, our parliamentary accountability is very new. We just started. I mean, so their experience, like ours, is not very intensive in terms of dodging the questions or the political tactics to avoid the questions. And so, yeah.
Okay. Now it's interesting. I mean, my committee is 16 members, the one that I chair, and we reflect the balance of Parliament. So we have more government members than opposition, although I'm an opposition chair, and I have to manage that team so that we do our job constitutionally of holding the government to account, but also, I've got government members on there. I wonder how you find that, because you've got in the moment a very big majority, so there's far more of your party than there are of the opposition. How do you work with opposition members, and do you find that they can make your life difficult when you're trying to do the business because they're wanting to challenge the government in a different way?
From day one, I mean, when we started, when I was the chair and when I started this Public Accounts Committee, we had few issues which were very sensitive, and we have huge division even within the party as well, because the people involved were actually probably from one of the members' constitution, and the one involved belongs to the opposition, but still some of our MPs were covering, and then I have had a really difficult time in maneuvering the meeting and to get the results that it required. So at the end of the day, we had to make a decision, very divisive decision. So opposition and some of our MPs were on one side, and then the majority of members, they felt that there was something wrong and we have to include this in the report. So that's what we started with. But at the end of the day, with the help of CAPAC and with the help of the more interactions with other jurisdictions, and we were able to get almost all our members to agree and make the report's recommendations rather than on majority, on consensus. So to achieve that, we had to have more involvement of all members, regardless of their opposition or individual or majority. I mean, the majority party. So at the end of the day, at the moment, whatever issue we have, we all work as a team, and we try to go after the facts and get things straight.
Because I remember when we met at the CAPAC conference, a lot of discussion around the table about how to manage that consensus building in committee. And it's something that we've tried to do in the UK. I've as chair, been very keen, and behind the scenes we work very hard together to develop that consensus, so it's not always what's out there. And what I've found about CAPAC is I've had a brilliant arena to learn from different jurisdictions about what they're doing better than the UK. They've learned hopefully a bit from the UK, and we can exchange information and ideas. You're now chair of CAPAC, the Commonwealth Association of Public Accounts Committees. How have you found it so far, and what's your vision for what it will achieve in terms of supporting public accounts committees across the Commonwealth?
My experience with CAPAC is that just after I was elected as the chair of Public Accounts Committee, I had the opportunity to participate in one of the CAPAC workshops in Kuala Lumpur, and that was the first time my first experience with CAPAC, and I found that meeting with different jurisdictions, different chairs from different jurisdictions helped me to understand the powers and the roles, and I mean how different approaches you can have to achieve common
outcomes.
Yeah, outcomes. I mean, so from those interactions, I got the opportunity that time to bring two of my colleagues, one from the opposition and one from the government. So they were actually very impressed, and they were very much involved in the workshops. So when we got back to Maldives, we tried. I mean, that was the first time that we heard of doing the reports on consensus rather than the using the power that you have as a majority party. So we tried to work with the opposition, and we tried to come to common understanding that whatever we do, we try to go do with the facts, and we don't go beyond that, like to, for example, to defame the opposition or try to overexpose what has happened, or even in the case of government, if something goes wrong, we don't overexpose it, or we just go about what has happened just there. So those things we were able to very successfully implement in our PAC, and we have I was lucky that we have very mature members in terms of opposition and in terms of government members, so we were able to reach those consensus. And
okay, because it's interesting, because what I found from CAPAC, one is that sometimes I've got more in common with a chair of a public accounts committee from another jurisdiction, almost whatever the size, than sometimes I have with another member in the UK Parliament. So that's been great, just the networking. The other thing I found that is useful is the common problems we're all facing. So one of the things we've tried to do in the UK is to follow through on our recommendations and the government's response, then hold the government better to account for that response. And we do it a bit, but we don't do it brilliantly. So I've been picking up from other jurisdictions, one, how they're doing it, some doing some good practice, but also how all of us have discovered that no one's doing it brilliantly. So there's a real opportunity there, I think, for CAPAC to play a great role in helping us all find a common problem and becoming the place that it's solved.